Howdy, I'm Jace and I'm a sex addict. This is Sex Life, where we talk openly and honestly about sex and life. This week's question was perfectly timed as we are full blown in the holiday season, and I know that this can be a really difficult time for everyone, really, but it's a particularly difficult time for addicts and people in recovery. We're out of our routines. We are maybe doing traveling. Things are being shaken up. There are more triggers in the way of depression and anxiety and isolation and loneliness. All of those things can make for a very difficult time here at the end of the year. So, this week's question was, what do I do when I am triggered? Super awesome question. I want to make a distinction first before I answer the question. I often hear the words triggered and aroused used interchangeably, and there seems to be, in some people's minds, an idea that being aroused or anything having to do with sexuality has to do with their sex addiction. I don't believe that's true. We can certainly be super healthy sexual beings. In fact, that's a lot of the point of recovery, is to become healthy, and being sexually healthy is part of that. And so being aroused is not the same as being triggered. Sometimes they might be happening at the same time, but being triggered means that I am wanting to utilize acting out behavior, usually to escape a feeling or to create a different feeling. I am wanting to use sexual thoughts or behavior instead of engage in sexual thoughts or behavior, which is what's going on when I am aroused. So those are different things. Just throwing that out there in the beginning. So what do I do when I am indeed triggered? That is an awesome question. And there are a few things that I do, not necessarily in one particular order, but I'll share all of them with you in case any of them help you. The first that I'll share is that I check in with people in my support group. For me, that is friends in recovery or an accountability group that I'm a part of. And I'm able to check in there and just say, hey, I'm feeling triggered. Here's the situation. Here's what's going on with me. I'm feeling triggered. I need some accountability. So I'm checking in. And if there's anything I need help-wise, maybe I need to jump on the phone with someone and have a call or get some advice, I'm able to ask for that with my accountability group. Having a strong, supportive community as a recovering person is one of the most important things that comes with being healthy and happy. So I touch base with my community. That's very powerful. Another thing that I do is deep breathing. I know that sounds so simple that there's no way it could work, but it's actually twofold. One, taking deep breaths gives me a few moments to come back to the present moment, to come back to reality, and be grounded in this space. That's really important because a lot of my addictive behavior and thinking is all out there, right? And so when I come back into the present moment, I'm able to see the situation more clearly and gain new perspective. Secondly, it has a huge physical component that goes along with it. And because addiction and addictive acting out and everything is happening in the limbic system, which is our survival system in the brain that says the fight or flight or life or death situations are going on, when I deep breathe, I let my brain and body know I am not in a life or death situation. My life is not being threatened right now, though it can feel that way, and it can feel like a life or death situation when we're wanting to act out. But when I take deep breaths, I let my brain and body know everything is okay. I am experiencing pain and discomfort, but it is not life-threatening. That's really, really powerful. It's really important to get the brain and body on board in recovery, along with the mental, emotional, and spiritual stuff that we're doing as well. The combo is super powerful. So that deep breathing, though it sounds very, very simple, is very effective. Another thing that I do is connect with my higher power. I am not a traditional prayer or God kind of gal, but I do have regular interactions with my higher power that for me usually are pretty casual, where I'd be like, I'm being triggered, like I'm freaking out. Can you come help me right now, or come partner with me, or just hang out with me until I'm not in this situation anymore? I just kind of throw a conversation opening to my higher power to just make that connection. That reminds me that there's something a lot bigger than me, that I'm not alone in what I'm experiencing. I'm certainly not the only person that's ever been triggered, and that I have someone who's got my back. That can be anything or anyone that you feel is your higher power. Again, I think any connection we make with the great unknown, or that which is bigger than us, is very, very powerful and also really crucial for recovery. Those are three of the things that I do initially. I also will de-dramatize the trigger, and I don't mean that in a harsh way, but usually things that I anticipate being really big or some kind of crisis situation are really nothing more than me experiencing pain or discomfort and wanting to not experience pain or discomfort. As we know, anyone who's in this addiction, and I know it is kind of confusing, but sex addiction really doesn't have anything to do with wanting sex. It's about utilizing sexual behaviors or sexual interactions with people in order to alter an uncomfortable or painful state that we're experiencing. So if I'm able to remind myself of that by saying, I am triggered right now. And sometimes I really will say this out loud, or I'll say it inside, or I'm saying it to an accountability buddy. And I say, I am being triggered right now. I feel very uncomfortable, or I feel pain, or I feel anger, or entitlement, or sadness, or I feel like someone just treated me unfairly, and that's triggering. I bring it back to reality, again, very important, and just get honest about what's really happening in the situation so that I have that reminder that it's not a crisis going on. Again, that brings the brain into the mix as well to bring down that alert system that's saying fight or flight, like survive. No, I don't need to survive. I'm just uncomfortable. It's actually okay. That's really powerful. And doing a gratitude list for me is also very empowering. I will write it out. Yes, old school, handwritten, write it out. Or I'll say things out loud, and I'll just list things that I'm grateful for, which opens my perspective. It activates different pathways in the brain as well, and it just transitions me into a different state. Those things, I know some of them sound really, really simple, which is great. The simpler, the better, and they really are effective, especially if you're already in the practice of using them before you get into those red flag situations. So setting up a daily practice where you're engaging with all of those things already will make them immediate habit the moment you need them. So most days we're not going to need them. Maybe most days I don't feel like I need to check in with my accountability group or be doing deep breathing or meditation. But when the moment comes and I do need it, I already have them in place. So it's really perfect and it works out great. And then when I am able, I rewind and I look back at the situation. Sometimes I'll do some writing around it so that I can analyze what was going on that got me into that triggered state. That way, when it inevitably comes up again in the future, I will already be ready for it, and I will have a plan of action in place. That way, when it starts coming, or I know it's coming, boom, I am already on top of it. Because really, my sobriety, my safety, my serenity, all of those things, they are my responsibility. And it is my responsibility to be proactive in preparing for them, not just being reactive when they show up. So I hope that is helpful to you, especially in this holiday season where things can be more triggering than other times. If you have questions or comments, you can reach me on my website, jacedowney.com. It also has free resources and great tools that you can utilize. Feel free to subscribe to this channel so you don't ever miss a video. And until I see y'all next time, stay curious.